It's episode 9 of the Toadstool Boardroom. My name is Logan Plant, and I'm joined today by O'Dell Harmon Jr. Hi, O'Dell.
Hey, everybody. How y'all doing?
You're back after missing our big Xenoblade extravaganza last week.
I know, but y'all brought in the experts, so, my very spicy mini hot takes, I saved them for another day. Let's talk about the game.
Fair enough. Yeah, we were very glad to have Travis Northup from IGN join us to talk about his review. Thanks if you tuned into that episode. And if you're back here for your second week after tuning into that one for the first time, we're the Toadstool Boardroom, weekly Nintendo podcast. You can follow us on Twitter at ToadstoolBR. You can send us an email, toadstoolboardroom@gmail.com. Subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you like to listen or watch your podcast. So we are kind of doing a split show here today. Here in part one, we are talking about the Pokemon Presents that just happened like a half hour ago here. We're recording bright and early over on my side of the country, 6:30 a.m. right now. We're sitting down to record. And then after we talk Pokemon, Chris Shriver will join us for part 2, where we'll talk about the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass Wave 2. Steve and Alex Amiibo. We're waiting for a Splatoon 3 Direct and a lot more, so stick around for that as well. But let's get into it. Pokemon Presents was today. They kicked off the show with a lot of mobile game stuff. We saw Pokemon Masters, Pokemon Cafe Mix, but the real meat of the presentation that we're going to talk about was Pokemon Scarlet and Violet got a new trailer at the end of the presentation. We finally got a name of the region, the Paldea region. I know that O'Dell was waiting for that. We saw a lot of riding around on the Pokemon like motorcycles. I think a lot of people assumed that's what they were going to be for, and I believe those details leaked as well. That's Koraidon and Miraidon that you can ride around the region on. They showed off multiplayer and revealed that Union Circles is how you kick off co-op play and can play up to 3 friends. There's also the Terrastalize ability, which gives each Pokemon a shiny crystal form that also might change their type. We saw a Pikachu that can fly. Flying type and knows the move Fly. There's also Terra raids, similar to Sword and Shield raids returning, where you can catch Pokemon with rare Terra types and do these battles with up to 3 people. O'Dell, you're the biggest Pokemon super fan here in the boardroom. What'd you think of this trailer?
There was definitely more good than bad. My biggest jarring issue is like, I understand, okay, we're now on a real open world game. Open world games need mounts, essentially, unless you're a superpowered character and you fly or something. And I would have preferred a terraforming bike like we had in Sword and Shield than a terraforming bike that turned into a terraforming Pokemon bike, transforming Pokemon. The fact that it's the legendary is more jarring to me. It's like this is what we've reduced them to. Like, I mean, they've always been, a story beat, something to capture, but hey, here's the legendary Pokemon of this region. It's a bike, a literal Pokemon bike. Have fun with that. That's a little. It's
interesting that you get them at the start of the game, pretty much, like not immediately, but pretty early. You're going to get this Pokemon to ride around on. Generally, you don't get the legendary until near the very end of the game, like 3/4 in a big story moment right before the Elite Four and the champion. But yeah, I'm going to assume you aren't going to be able to fight with your Pokemon until end game. I'm going to assume that it'll just be a mount until you reach that point. It is a little interesting. It's funny that the one from Scarlet, Koraidon, just runs and then Miraidon actually uses its wheels. I thought that those looked really funny side by side. And they can also glide like a Breath of the Wild glider system. You can leap off a cliff and then glide with your legendary Pokemon. Don't know if you could just fly around or if it is like a glide thing where you're constantly moving down. Couldn't really tell that from the brief clip that we saw. But yeah, mounts are important in open world games. I think it's kind of unique that it's with the legendary. The closest thing we've kind of had to this is you did have the Pokemon in Legends Arceus you could ride around on. But in other games, the Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire had the Latios and Latias that you could soar with around a very strange version of the overworld map. So this is a little bit like an evolution of that as well. I don't know. I guess I think it's unique that it's the legendaries. I do think that the wheel design is a little strange when you look at the Pokemon that they're riding around on. Also, if you pair up with multiplayer, you can have 4 of the same legendary just buzzing around, and that kind of defeats a little bit of the lore behind it, I guess. But yeah, I guess I think it's unique.
Yeah, I mean, based off the trailer, we're gonna get into terrestrializing the new gimmick, sadly. But it seems like to me, this bike form is appearing like this is the Pokemon like with its potential locked away. And when you terrestrialize it, they stand up and look more like the box art and more quote unquote legendary and not like a child's plaything. So maybe I'm guessing like at some point, oh no, they were imprisoned in this form eons ago, and now they're unlocked. Now they're back to being some unstoppable creature in the land that whatever. I don't know. We will see. We will see. I want to move away from the legendary thing because it's jarring, but maybe it will make sense. And I want to go to the new gimmick since we've already mentioned it. Instantly not a fan. I like how like the little crystal. I don't know if this is Spanish inspired in any way, but like how they look like a crystal dresser. Like, do you remember like in the early 90s, like old people had like these fancy lamps that they were so proud of? Or just back in the day. Oh, like that's what they remind me of. They remind me of these fancy lamps my grandma used to have that I was never allowed to touch. And I'm just that's odd to me. But I will say this. I remember when I saw Dynamax and Gigantamax in at first, I was not a fan. But from a battle standpoint, it made sense and was definitely a lot more balanced than Mega Evolution was. Mega Evolution kind of destroyed battling. But like Gigantamax, that was like, okay, that was more doable. So from a battle standpoint, maybe it will make sense. But from a visually appeasing standpoint, it looks utterly ridiculous. Like, maybe it'll grow on me. Maybe it's one of those things that, like, once I sit with it, I'll feel differently. But my initial thoughts is like, this is one of those things. It's gonna look cool for some Pokemon, and then ridiculous for the vast majority.
Yeah, I guess I thought it looked okay. Really, the visuals aren't what I have the issue with. I have the issue with that. Now for half of the generations of Pokemon, practically, they have felt this need to shoehorn in some sort of new battle mechanic that essentially always functions in the same way, dating back to what Gen 6, X and Y introduced the Mega Evolutions, which took a really long time to watch the cutscene, and then you basically won the battle in one move, right? That's what a Mega Evolution was. And then you got Z moves in Sun and Moon, and then you got the Gigantamax in Sword and Shield. And now here we are with this Terrastalize in Scarlet and Violet. And it just doesn't... honestly, the way that the mainline campaign of Pokemon games are balanced, it feels like an instant win button. It really does. You use a Z move, you use a Mega Evolution, you pretty much win the battle in one hit. And I feel like this isn't going to be any different. I do think the design is more creative than Sword and Shield's, just make it bigger, which is what Gigantamax was. I know they had some of the special forms for a few Pokemon, but largely it was just make it bigger. So I do think this looks a little bit more unique, but I was just to see them still falling back on this crutch of we need to have some sort of mechanic like this. I'm just not a super big fan of.
Yeah, I'm not either, because it's, and especially because you instantly have to throw away the old mechanic because you can't have these mechanics playing nice with each other. We saw that with Z moves and Mega Evolutions being in the same game, and it was just nonsensical. It was just like, from a just I'm playing the game casually throughout the game. Yeah, it's like almost like an instant win button, and then when you're playing with people, it becomes like this. They become nuclear deterrents in not a fun way. It's just like, oh man, do I want a Mega Evolution now? Because if I do it wrong and then they do it, and now I got to worry about a Z move. It's just like, there's so many layers of, and it's not like I said, it's not in a creative, like super tactical way. It's just like, can I hold out longer than you? And then, like I said, I was going to say, Gigantamaxing, since every Pokemon can do it, it became a much more balanced thing. So I'm glad that they kept that. Well, if we're going to do it, it has to apply to all Pokemon, and we can't shoehorn it into some, because then it becomes even worse. And I'm hoping that, it becomes a complement mechanic and not like I have to base my whole team design around it. But we'll see. But going forward, I hope they do what they did with raid battles, where like, this is something that's fun, can be integrated, can even change up a little, but still a core thing. Because I saw raid battles, and I thoroughly enjoyed raid battles, so I'm glad they're here. I'm glad they have a unique spin. And going
Okay.
forward, I hope they introduce mechanics like that, like mechanics that can be taken forward and evolved and not have to be. They're so different and jarring in some aspects that they have to be locked into this region because there's no way we can evolve them further. So again, baby steps. I don't think Pokemon, battle system needs to overhaul. No, people are like, oh, I want to do this. No, I feel like, Mario doesn't need to be like, a werewolf transformation, shots at Sonic. We don't need big things like that, but we can change the world in ways that we can evolve on. But we don't know. We just got names. But I do want to say I'm glad we got the region name Paldea. But if you didn't know, there's a famous Spanish food called paella, which is a seafood dish, and I'm pretty sure that's heavily inspired the name.
So let's talk about the story for just a second, because they did spend a little more time on some of these gameplay mechanics, really, than the open world that I wanted to hear about. We did learn that there are 3 different stories to complete, is what they said. And they said that the first story is going to revolve around the gyms and the Elite Four and the championship. And we're back to having 8 gyms, but this time you can tackle them in any order. They did say that there is no limit to which one you can go to first, which one you can go to second, and so on. And then they did not really say what the other 2 stories are about. But if I'm a betting man, one's about the legendaries, because it always is, and then one's about whatever bad team there is, right? It's got to be that.
I was thinking about that, and I feel like they can go so many ways with it. Because, okay, let's say whoever our Team Rocket guys are, I mean, they could just generically be in the world. And I assume their story's tied to the legendary, because the bad guy stories is, 9 times out of 10 always tied to the legendary. Mm-hmm. So I assume those 2 stories will be, a 1-for-1. What I'm thinking is this third story is we're gonna either we're bringing back Pokemon contests in some way, and there's a Pokemon contest story because people wanted that. That's me shooting for the moon. It probably won't happen. But what I'm going for, this is going to be a new Pokemon thing. This new story is going to involve because trainers always wanted a way to a non-battle focused way to interact with your Pokemon. And if Pokemon Company is smart, like I think they are, I think that their story is going to evolve around that. Here's a way to interact with Pokemon that isn't battling, where it's, taking pictures. Maybe this treasure hunt thing is a literal treasure hunt. Maybe it's Pokemon contest. Maybe it's like go camping with your Pokemon, bond with them. It will be some type of bonding experience for you and your Pokemon that does not revolve around battling, is my guess.
Treasure hunt would be cool. They did kind of make a big deal about that, right? Your character starts out at a special academy at the beginning of the game. The name of the academy is different, whether you're playing Scarlet or Violet. There are professors at the academy. There's a homeroom teacher. There's different students you interact with. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's maybe a Three Houses type deal, Persona 5 type deal, or maybe there is a whole story that takes place at the school. Maybe that weaves into the treasure hunt that they kept talking about. I do think it would be smart, like you were saying, if they had a bigger pillar of this game that wasn't about battle, because when you look at every mainline Pokemon game, they're all, when you get down to it, pretty much just about battling. Yeah, you have some of the other stuff. You have secret bases, you have the underground, you have some of the cool Pokemon beauty contests or whatever that you can do to interact with your Pokemon on that way. But really, it's always just about the core battling. So it would be cool if, as they're growing Pokemon into this open world, if they do take it and maybe take it in a different direction like that. I don't know if we'll see that yet. I don't know if they got a lot of other stuff going on in this game. I'm not sure if they're quite ready to implement something like that yet. We do see baby steps generally with the Pokemon Company, but it's something I'd like to see maybe in this game, or if not in the future.
Yeah, I just think it's interesting that, they took time to focus, like, hey, you have the main, go get your gym badges, become the champion. Yeah. And there's 2 other stories. And I'm hoping that whatever they are, regardless, whether, it's, clearly the legendary thing or, contest, camping, the little treasure hunt, school life, that it takes, I want to say just as long, but a good medium amount of time as, your standard gym. It's not like, okay, the 8 gym bash thing is like, the 4-hour adventure, and these are like 30-minute adventures that you can just knock out at some point. I want it to be like you have to spend substantial time doing these other 2 adventures. Maybe not as long as the quote unquote core story, but significant amount of time. Not something that you're just like, oh crap, yeah, I got to do that to technically beat the game. Let me go, have a cutscene or two and call it a day.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see how these 3 stories pan out. If it is like 3 different quest paths that don't revolve around each other, right? Because in the other Pokemon games, it was always like, after you get like the 4th gym badge, there's always like a huge segment with the team or whatever. And it's like, oh, we got to go infiltrate this Team Rocket base now. And they were always kind of dependent on each other because in every other Pokemon game, the story is linear. So if it is like, nope, you can just do the 8 badges, then do this, or do 3 badges, take a break. And then the big question is going to be level scaling, right? How are the levels going to work? Is it just going to scale? So if you go to the ice gym first, it's the easiest. If you go to it last, it's the hardest. Or is it just going to be like, well, if you want to grind and go to this gym first, you can. Like, I think that'll be something interesting to see how they kind of approach also.
If I had to guess, it's going to be the non-fun way where it's going to be gated. Like, hey, this guy's clearly the last gym leader in this Pokemon level 70. I mean, we're not going to stop you from going there first, but clearly, you should probably go to this guy towards the end of your journey rather than the beginning. But it would be cool because, fun fact, in the anime, it was actually revealed that gym leaders do that. They base how hard of a challenge they give you about how many badges you already have. Granted, I'm not sure all gym leaders do this, but they'll be like, okay, this kid has 1 badge. Okay, I'm not going to pull out like, my rock star. We'll have like a 2v2, and these will be like some Pokemon I caught last week.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That explains things more.
Yeah, they actually address this. So I would love it if it was just like, okay, if you do this Pokemon, this gym leader first, they'll use like baby versions of their type or whatever, their thing is. And I would love it even more if it's cool, like, if you're trying to fill out your Pokédex, like if you strategically wait to see some gym leaders later, you'll see rare Pokemon, for your Pokédex that if you didn't do that, you would have to go find them in the wild and look for your own. It'll be like harder, quote unquote, to come across them. So,
and that'd be cool to see, like, that would lend a little bit of credit to subsequent playthroughs, right? If you challenge the gym leaders in one order and then you play the game again afterwards and you challenge them in a different order and you see how their parties change and evolve, that could be kind of cool.
Yeah. The ball is in your court, Pokemon Company. Like,
yes, it is.
This game has the potential to fundamentally rewrite Pokemon as we know it while also staying true, which, is probably like one of the hardest things to do in game development.
It is. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. There's still a lot I feel like we don't know, even after this Pokemon Presents presentation. But that's going to do it for our discussion here on the new Pokemon Scarlet and Violet trailer. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to get Chris Shriver here in the boardroom, and we'll be right back, so don't go anywhere. Welcome back to part 2 this week on the Toadstool Boardroom. Logan Plant here with O'Dell Harmon Jr. still here.
Hey, everybody.
And Chris Shriver joining us for part 2.
I have magically appeared.
You were too busy playing Xenoblade.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly what I was doing. You nailed it.
Travis didn't convince you last week to pick it up.
I can't say he has. I also still have not opened my copy of Live Alive from last week.
Still sealed?
Still sealed in the packaging.
I think I'm gonna fully beat the game. Foreseeing any JRPG nonsense of like, oh, you beat all the stories. Well, here's 12 more stories. Unless that happens, I think I'm probably gonna beat it tonight.
Wow.
Nice.
Good job.
It is a fantastic game. We might get into that a little bit later, but right now let's start off with some news. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass Wave 2 has been revealed. Yes, we're excited. It's coming this week, August 4th. So the day this episode goes up, we'll be playing these new Mario Kart tracks. 2 new cups. There's going to be 6 wave. Each one's going to come with 2 cups. This is Wave 2 of that. We got the Turnip Cup and the Propeller Cup. And the courses are as follows. In the Turnip Cup, New York Minute from Mario Kart Tour, Mario Circuit 3 from Super Mario Kart on the SNES, Calamari Desert from Mario Kart 64, Waluigi Pinball is a big one for a lot of people from Mario Kart DS. Chris pumping his fist. In the Propeller Cup, Sydney Sprint from Tour, Snowland from Super Circuit on the GBA, Mushroom Gorge from Mario Kart Wii, and Sky High Sunday, which they label as a new track, but then there's 2 asterisks, and it says on the official site, Sky High Sunday will be released in the Mario Kart Tour mobile game at a later date. So this is not going to match the quality of your favorite original Mario Kart 8 tracks. It's like Ninja Hideaway, which is a great track, but it is a tour track. I I think they should have labeled it Tour. I think it's weird that Ninja Hideaway is also not labeled Tour either, but that's beside the point. These are coming this week. How do we feel about the track selection, guys?
Excellent.
Yeah?
Excellent.
Yeah, I think it's an excellent set in both cups. I have come to terms with the fact that none of these levels are going to be as good as the ones that are in the base game and the base game's DLC. And I think that it's not fine, but I've accepted it. I understand why it's this way because they're doing all of the a lot of them are tour ports at this point. As far as the tour selections go, though, New York Minute, Sydney Sprint, like those are very good levels from that game. Mario Kart Circuit 3, sure. Whatever.
Yeah.
How many times have we played that level? Calamari Desert and Waluigi Pinball and Mushroom Gorge are probably the big three for me in like this whole set.
Definitely.
You're a fan of Calamari Desert. That's the one with the train that goes through the track sometimes. You'll actually have to come to a stop and wait for the train. But in Mario Kart 7 on 3DS, they added the hang gliding ramps that you could use to get around the train if you had a mushroom. I've never been a super big fan of that one, but
I think I'm just nostalgic for it. Like I just have a lot of memories playing Mario Kart 64. It is a flat level, right? Like it's one that makes sense for tour. I could see why they would put it in here. That and I think it's just a very iconic level for Mario Kart 64. Like people just remember that one.
Absolutely. For me, the big one is Waluigi Pinball. That is an outstanding course on Mario Kart DS and on Mario Kart 7. Great soundtrack, although they are just using the song that's in Wario Stadium, but it's the same song. I saw some people upset that the remix isn't the exact same as the Waluigi Pinball remix they want, but that's just the reality of these kind of cheaper done courses. And the one that I really struggle with is Mario Circuit 3. That's going to be one you only play up when it comes randomly or at the beginning when it feels new. And then in like 2 months' time, you will never touch it again. Probably. The GBA one, I'm not a fan of Super Circuit, but I really like what they did with the Sky Garden for Mario Kart Tour and then the 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass Wave 1. I like how they really changed the elevation of it. It's not flat like the GBA game is. So this one kind of similar. It looked like half of the track is kind of on a cliff overlooking the other half of the track for this snow one. So that could be good. And you said it, Chris, you can't expect the greatest tracks in the world in this. This is really kind of a Band-Aid on Mario Kart fans who were tired of waiting for the next one until the next system, Mario Kart 9, whenever it comes out. And for me, the price alone, like 96 or 48 tracks for $25, that is such a great deal. And it's okay if they're not really up to snuff with the other tracks. But O'Dell, what's your favorite track from the selection?
Oh, easily Waluigi Pinball. It is, I consider it one of the greatest Mario Kart tracks ever made. And it's funny because I hate Waluigi as a character. Design, concept, everything. I don't know why people might root for him. But I've always said, man, this man made a great Mario Kart track. It's creative.
He made it himself.
Yeah. That's exactly that. That's what I assume. And, I kind of disagree with y'all. I feel like the quality of these tracks not only could be better, but should be better because I was slightly taken aback once I saw what it was. One, I'm not a fan of the tour integration courses. Like now that the writing's on the wall that the majority of the tracks you're going to get are going to be tour courses because it's like you really can't do a lot with them. And I mean, I guess they're cute and I guess that game downloaded millions of copies. So they want to, please that crowd. I feel it's the same Pokemon Go thing. It's like, well, we got to respect the Pokemon Go players. I'm like, do you let them, they want to be in the mobile space. Let them be in the mobile space. I don't know what's the passover rate to come in the console. I don't think it's that high, but I don't got the numbers.
I think Chris and I both disagree.
I don't even think it's that. I think it's just like the assets already exist and they're like, this is way less work for us to, we can port this stuff over that already exists rather than, make a Mario Kart 8 specific version of this level.
Yeah, and I kind of wish they did. So, all the GBA levels I feel like are Mario Kart 8s because like they're night and day. Clearly look at the GBA one, but the Mario Circuit is the perfect example for this point I want to make. If you look at Mario Circuit, whatever number, you know how Mario Kart 8 they remixed the old tracks where they almost felt new, and I love Mario Circuit because it's such a basic track. But you see the A version, you see the elevation happening, you see the the stage literally, terraforming into something new and fun. And it's still basically that same basic track, but the big curve over the hill, it's just enough to make it feel fun. And I kind of wish they did that with these tracks. Just, don't gotta reinvent the wheel. Just do just enough. And we're not gonna get that, but like Logan said, at the price point, the amount of courses, it's almost really hard to complain. It's a Band-Aid, yes, but it's a very nice waterproof Band-Aid.
Yeah, you're getting the value is about 50 cents a track, and the tracks are worth about 50 cents to me. Like in Mario Kart 8, those tracks are each worth like a couple bucks to me. Those are amazing tracks, but it's like, I want to ask you guys this. When the first wave came out, I was pulled back into Mario Kart for like a couple weeks. Like I was playing every night. I was even going back to the old courses just because it was so much fun to have new content in there. And it also even refreshed the old content a little bit just because it had been so long since I'd played it regularly. So it's not like the problem we talked about with Strikers last week where you get this stuff and you guys don't even open it. You see it has an update and don't even play it. And I play it for 10 minutes and then turn it off. Like, yeah, this DLC is not the best that Mario Kart has to offer. Not even close. But it is enough to pull me back into the game just because the gameplay of Mario Kart 8 is that good.
I mean, you're right. You're 100% right. I mean, like you said, the base game is
good. Mario Kart gameplay.
Yeah, it's just great because I look at it like this. These tracks could probably honestly suck, and I'll still just show up just for the newness of it. And then, like, you're already playing, and then, because I remember I was playing when the new tracks came out. I did a stream with somebody, and I remember the whole time we got to do, like, pick a track after we tried out the new ones. Mm-hmm. And the whole time I was like, I want to play Piranha Plant Slide. I want to play Piranha Plant Slide. That level slaps. And then I got the pick. Yeah, I played it, and I was like, oh, my God. It was like, I literally forgot how good this was. And then I was just like, and then I remembered all the other tracks that I also, Shy Guy Falls. I literally forgot how amazing that level is. Because Mario Kart's a game to where you're racing, but you never notice. But if you ever watch someone play and look at all the details and how good those tracks truly are, it blows your mind. You're like, Nintendo really went all out on these deep. Like, there's whole like simulated lives going on in the background if you pay attention. And they actually react to crashes and things. And I'm just like, this is such a crazy amount of detail that the average player would not notice while playing the game.
I think that is missing what you just touched on, O'Dell. Like that part is missing a bit in some of the DLC tricks, not all of them. Like I think Ninja Hideaway is still one of the best levels in Mario Kart 8. When that last track, like the last set of tracks came out, I mean that was the one that I made an image for IGN. It was like, what is the best Mario Kart 8 track? And it was just like 3 screenshots of Ninja Hideaway. It's like, it's this, shut your mouths. But no, I mean, I have, I'm pretty fortunate in that there's a huge majority of us at my job that play Mario Kart 8 and pre-pandemic would play just about every day during lunch. We'd grab a conference room and just start screaming at each other. So usually like every Friday, especially when new tracks drop, like we all just dedicate that lunch and like the night to just like playing the game over and over again. So I'm definitely looking forward to this, obviously because of that, but it is a shame that, I think one of the best parts of Mario Kart 8 being the 0G is not really as heavily utilized in any of the tracks that we've seen in the DLC so far. It
is back in Sky High Sunday.
It is very light. It is like, look, I went up a little bit. I wall ran. It's like that. But it seems like they're going in the right direction. It's just I don't want them to. I don't want all these tracks to feel like Mario Kart Super Circuit. Like, I enjoy that game because it's like a retro title at this point, but every track in that game is just a flat plane. That's kind of how some of the levels in the first batch felt for me. So we'll see how this one goes. But as far as the selection is concerned, like, I'm super stoked to try everything out.
Yeah, it's kind of the same, almost the same formula as the first wave. I think we're kind of getting an idea of what to expect from the 8. You're going to have like 3 tour tracks, which I think is great, right? Odell, you said it's to satisfy the tour fans. I think it's because tour sucks and Nintendo knows it. And they're like, let's preserve these tracks elsewhere. Let's throw them in Mario Kart 8 where you don't have to pay $40 for Diddy Kong. Like
I
think
I
that's
choose
the
to
big
believe that is the truth because I remember when we all found out that we were racing against bots pretending to be real people in tour because everybody was getting first place. Like that game just took a nosedive from me. I was like, it's a phony.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
So you're getting like 3 tracks from that game, and then you're getting like the big one, right? The one everyone wants. Coconut Mall Wave 1, Waluigi Pinball Wave 2, and then kind of the other 4 are a combination of old tracks from like SNES 64, and then maybe a couple newer ones, like Mushroom Gorge. So I kind of like they're not throwing all the stuff we want in within the same wave. It's like there's going to be 8 different highlights across these different waves. I think that's really cool. So before we move on from Mario Kart, one track you guys need to see in the last few waves. You can pick one.
I was literally in the middle of Googling it because I need the name of it.
I can go first if you guys need to say
Go for it. Go for it.
Maple Treeway, Mario Kart Wii. That track is gorgeous. You're driving on these through these winding trees, and it's fall, and the leaves are falling. And there's a segment where there are wigglers running around. There's some really fast sections, some good hang glider sessions. Love that track from Mario Kart 7. I think it'd be great.
I thought that this was the name of it. I'm glad I verified it. DK Summit in Mario Kart Wii.
Nice.
Has you have the half pipes in it. You can do tricks off of them. It's just like a downhill bonanza, similar to like Wario's Wario Summit. I think that level's just awesome. There's a lot of really great levels in Mario Kart Wii that I think a lot of people forget about. And then if you still have access to play Mario Kart Wii and you're like looking for something to scratch that itch, I highly implore you to dip back into that game.
Oh, you're right. Maple Treeway is from Mario Kart Wii. I said it's from 7. There's the remake in 7.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. I didn't even catch that you said that. Yeah.
Yeah. Mario Kart Wii has a great roster of
Absolutely.
tracks. Yeah. How about you, O'Dell?
Okay, so I was gonna say DK Jungle, but since Chris already said DK Mountain, I'm gonna move away from that.
DK Mountain. I'd love to see DK Mountain too.
Yeah.
DK has all the best tracks.
Yeah. But so everyone loves Toad's Turnpike, right? Like it's like a one of those courses. I don't either. I think it's boring and bland, but it makes it in like every game. Like
I think it's because it's a chaos creator. Like it's just one of those levels where if you're bad at Mario Kart, like it's so easy to just
like even in 8, like I'll be like, ooh, look at me. Like you said, I'm wall running, and now I'm not, and now I'm doing it again, and now I'm not. And this level is still the same. And in Mario Kart, you can fly, and you can't take the shortcut of landing on a bridge. It's just like, nope, you can't do that, even though that would be really cool.
Mm-hmm.
But there came a game. I don't really like Double Dash. I know people love it, but I'm like, the 2-person cart, not mine. But they introduced Mushroom City, which is Toad's Turnpike. Should have been from day one, and we've never seen it again. Mushroom City is dope. It's like the chaos creator of Toad's Turnpike, but would actually be in a good track.
That is a great level.
So is Mushroom Bridge, which we've seen remade a couple times.
Yep.
I love that track from Double Dash. Double Dash doesn't have a bad course. It has 16 tracks, and they're all great. Give me Daisy Cruiser.
You and Daisy, man. You just love that girl.
Do I?
Yeah. You were like, Daisy's going to be in Strikers. You were like all hype about that.
Yeah.
Now you're talking about her cruise line. I don't know.
I do like Daisy's the best princess. What can I say?
I love Daisy's Cruisers because it's just a long oval, but it's got personality.
It does.
Mm-hmm. It's a good one. Daisy actually has some sneaky good Mario Kart tracks. Daisy Circuit on the Wii with like the statue of her and Luigi dancing is super cute.
Oh, that is a good level. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Daisy Hills in the Mushroom Cup of Mario Kart 7 is simple, but it's got cows, it's got the windmills.
Yeah.
It's a nice little track. There's some good ones. Yeah. So that's Mario Kart 8. New tracks this weekend. We'll talk about what it's like to actually play them on next week's show. Let's move on, though. I love Amiibo, and we got a release date for the next Amiibo that are coming out. Steve and Alex from Minecraft, from Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, are coming on September 9th. That is the same day as Splatoon 3. It just feels like the wait between these Smash Amiibo are getting longer and longer. What Min Min came out on in April with Switch Sports, whatever day that was, and now it's going to be 5 months until the next one. We're still waiting on Pyra, Mithra, Sephiroth, Kazuya, and hopefully Sora, which they never officially announced still, which would drive me bonkers if it never happened.
Oh my god!
But to me, Chris,
I'll buy a Sora
fellow
amiibo
fan, it seems like amiibo support's starting to wind down. Like, the Monster Hunter amiibo disappeared from the face of the earth for North America. We don't know anything about Splatoon 3 amiibo yet. There's not amiibo support on the box, and 1 and 2 heavily featured amiibo. It feels like once they finish the Smash series, maybe this is it.
Part of me wants to agree with you because I think once they promised, like, okay, every Smash Brothers character will have their own amiibo, like every Nintendo fan just keeps catching them on that technicality of like, oh, you're not done yet, and they're just like, God, we've been done making new Smash content for like over a year now. I don't even remember when Sora came out, but I mean, they're
like September.
They're pretty much
October
done.
last year.
Yeah. I mean, I will continue to get the rest of the Smash line. I have every single one at this point. They're all unboxed. I play with my toys.
Same.
But yeah, as far as Splatoon goes, the way that they used Amiibo in Splatoon was kind of weird. You were able to get like exclusive weapons. I couldn't remember if you got them early or if it was like you could only get them through Amiibo, and cosmetics and things of that nature. I still think Breath of the Wild had some of the best use of Amiibo that we've seen so far. Metroid Dreads was okay, but it just like put the game on easy mode after a couple days of you not doing well. You just kept getting energy tanks and missiles and all that. I mean, I think part of it is probably because the Toys to Life craze has pretty much ended. They're really the only people that are doing it still, and it's basically out of obligation. Nintendo fans are always going to keep buying them if they're going to keep making them. But yeah, if they're not doing it in interesting ways and it's not adding to the experience in any way, like some people, and rightfully so, like some of the ways that they've been integrated, it's been kind of like gatekeepy, or people have felt that way, at least if you don't buy the Amiibo.
Like the Skyward Sword.
Yeah, the Skyward Sword one was one. Yeah. Like that's an example of a bad implementation of like what you could do with that thing. Because like if I'm on the go, I'm not going to carry an Amiibo with me. Like it's just not going to happen. And unfortunately,
did you play that game with button controls though? Because that was the only way to on the go.
I did. I didn't.
You did.
I didn't play it very long. I've never beaten Skyward Sword.
Even it's an original release.
Even its original
Well,
release.
Brief Skyward Sword tangent. I played that game earlier this year, the HD version with motion controls. I loved it, man. I have crapped on Skyward Sword for the last decade. Replayed it this year. I'm like, yeah, it's still nowhere close to the best Zelda. It's still got loads of problems, but I really enjoyed it this year. I thought it was. I really liked the dungeons. I like the story. The art style looks much better in HD than it did on the Wii. Like the remake streamlined all the annoying things that the original did with dowsing and Fi talking to you and just all these things. Like Skyward Sword HD is a great game. If you haven't played it, I would recommend it. I'd honestly recommend that game.
I just have a huge problem with the Wii to Switch ports that they've done, primarily because the Joy-Con is not a Wiimote. There is no sensor bar that I can point at, and the experience is just not as precise as it is on the Wii.
Yeah, definitely.
But I feel the same way about Mario Galaxy. That game is actually way better handheld than it is with motion controls.
Okay.
But
anyways, Amiibo.
All that being said, yeah, I could see them starting to like close that book, like close the chapter on Amiibo at this point. They've made one for every character. I could see them maybe doing it for Breath of the Wild because like those just sell gangbusters. And you know, Zelda fans are insane. I really don't, unless they made some game that was like Amiibo focused, which they've done, and sales were soft. Like I think they're just done at this point.
I think it's done. Go ahead, O'Dell.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You know, as I always say, I'm not in the actual Nintendo boardroom, but I feel like there's an easy way to fix this Amiibo problem. One, this goes without saying, but there's no way in hell Nintendo knew they would sell like hotcakes. Or even if they did, there's no way they knew it would sell like hotcakes. in terms, and I think for this last rollout, especially, like, okay, the Sephiroth amiibo will probably go away, but these Fire Emblem characters, man, there's people who care, but probably not enough. Just make them all to order. You put the order, like, they don't physically go out. Like, no, okay.
My Nintendo store, no thank you.
No, not like a special. It's literally like, hey, order them batches. Like, people order them, they cut it off, they mail them out. Maybe they'll do it again because, okay, for example, Steve and Alex. I'm just starting up. You make like 10,000 of them, and then people order them, and when they sell out, they either sell out. Maybe it took forever for them to sell out, but maybe there's demand. You make another batch, and it's like an Xbox custom controller. Like, when you order it, they make it. I feel like that might be like the best way. Because again, for these lesser known characters like Mithra, Pyra, like, yes, people love Xenoblade, but I'm hard pressed to think you're selling 50,000 of those, right?
I mean, Odell, it's not quite that, but we are getting to the point where it's almost like that. If you don't find a new Smash amiibo on the first weekend, it's not easy to find anymore. Yeah. So it kind of is like, get your pre-order in. The people who want it are there on day one, and then it disappears pretty quickly. Like, Min Min is pretty much gone. The exception to that is like Samus and Emmy from Metroid Dread are everywhere. You walk into a Best Buy, a GameStop, they are just covering the walls. But that's it. I was in a Best Buy the other day and I saw one Min Min next to like 20 Metroid Dread 2 packs. And like, that kind of is becoming the reality already for these things. Like, they're very quietly rolled out. They used to just come out on their own day. Like, back in the peak of it, like, I remember February 2015, there were days that like 8 amiibo came out, and that was it. And it sucked. It was very hard to get them, but now they are always paired with a game release, right? Switch Sports, Min Min. Splatoon 3, Steve and Alex. They just quietly push them out at the same time. So maybe if you're in the store picking up your copy of Splatoon, you're like, oh, Steve, I played Minecraft 10 years ago. I'll grab that. Like, that's just how they do it now, and it is much quieter. I never cared about the functionality. I just liked to get the figures. Like, when was the last time I scanned an amiibo?
Honestly,
it's really a long time ago.
It was the thrill of the hunt. Like, especially in the early days of like amiibo drops, you would get, Jigglypuff as a Target exclusive, and it's only up for, 2 minutes, or if that. It was more like 10 seconds. Trying to get all of those first runs. And there was a while, a couple years back, where you did see like reprints of, like, they did like Falco, and they finally did Marth, because those were so limited when they came out. And a couple others, but yeah, I mean, for the most part, like, I don't think there aren't that many people that are like still like begging for reprints of a lot of these amiibo at this point. Like, the Smash craze has kind of died down, especially like Multiverses is out. I think a lot of the players that were into the Smash scene, like, you could start to see some of them, not like the diehards, but you could start to see some of them get into that, more, because that's just this everlasting gobstopper of content. Not that that's on the Switch, but
which is crazy.
I'm going to ask y'all a question that I'm curious to get y'all's opinion on, because I said this when we started to see non-Smash amiibos, and I've always felt this way. Not like the down say they couldn't make money or they weren't cool in their own right. I mean, I have a Yarn Yoshi of crying out loud, the thing that broke me. But I kind of felt like amiibo should have just kind of just stayed a Smash thing. Like, when they started being like, ooh, a new popular game needs these amiibos, and I was like, why can't the Smash amiibos just work like the Mario characters work with Odyssey? We need. They
do work with it, but
the
obvious answer is money. But
yeah, the obvious answer is money. But I kind of just felt like amiibo should have just been a Smash thing, because, like, in my mind, I was like, at some point the buck has to stop. You can't be making amiibos for all your first party releases. Like,
I mean,
some point
they did for a little bit. Right? Like,
and they learned that was bad. Go ahead, Chris.
No, I mean, they did for a little bit, where, like, a new... Good, my wife isn't here. A new game would come out, and it would be like, oh, here's Breath of the Wild, and here are 5 amiibo for it. So this $50 purchase has now turned into $120. And that would happen over and over and over again. And as grateful as I am for just the fact that they exist, like, we didn't have Nintendo toys growing up, really. I'm very happy that it's over.
I get it. I get that. I'm kind of there too. but I'm also sad it's over. Some of these are so cool. The Metroid Dread 2-pack is amazing.
The Samus Returns ones are really cool. That the Metroid on that's really squishy.
Those are outstanding. If it had stuck to Smash, we wouldn't have the Zelda line, which I think is just absolutely gorgeous. I love having a copy of each Link from all the mainline Zeldas. I think that's so cool, and I hope they continue that with Breath of the Wild too, because Link looks a heck of a lot different in that game, and maybe they close the Amiibo arrow out with that game. I'd be cool with that if that got Amiibo. But you mentioned O'Dell, and it's got to stop somewhere, and Nintendo realized that with Animal Crossing, right? They have the huge Smash series, they have the Mario series that did pretty well, and then they have the Animal Crossing series, which like a month after launch was like $3 in bargain bins because no one went out and bought them. Nobody bought the Animal Crossing.
That was also in the midst of COVID. Like, I do wonder, would things have been different?
I'm talking about Amiibo Festival in 2015.
Oh, wow. Because there was compatibility with that in New Horizons, I thought.
But they didn't make any new ones.
Yeah. Oh, well, you know what? They did the cards. That's what I'm thinking of.
Amiibo cards. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Which I never got into. I stayed away from that.
I bought like
that was just like the
packs,
e-reader cards.
Okay.
I was the kid into e-reader stuff, and I'm like, of course, I picked the one thing I picked to be super into was like the most abandoned, very poorly utilized feature of any like Nintendo thing ever.
And we do got to move on, but just one last point I wanted to throw out there is I look at something like Kirby and the Forgotten Land, which had new Amiibo support built in, but didn't get its own figures. They did a reprint of the Planet Robobot line from 6 years ago. And it's like, maybe that's the route they're going now. Maybe Splatoon 3, we'll see reprints of these Splatoon Amiibo that they've already manufactured in the past.
Well, and that's just it. Like, the Mario line exists, the Kirby line exists. I think you could see Breath of the Wild get its own line, but for the most part, like, how many Marios do you need? How many different iterations of that? I mean,
I got Cat Mario, I got Top Hat Mario.
I'm the guy who has every Zelda amiibo at this point and every Smash amiibo at this point. Like, I get it, but at some point it is like there's only so much shelf space you can have in any given room before somebody's like, you have a problem. And I know I do. Yeah. All
right, we got to move on. I do want to dedicate some more time to Amiibo in the future, maybe when we get a clearer closing of this chapter of Nintendo, because man, there was a lot of fascinating and very weird things and a lot of funny stories with Amiibo over the last 8 years. So I do want to talk about that more down the line. But Steve and Alex, I think they look cool. They're coming out on September 9th, same day as Splatoon 3. So let's talk about Splatoon 3.
I just have one quick question. Have pre-orders for those happened yet? Because I keep...
No.
Okay, I didn't think they did.
Nope. I have not.
Thank you.
They'll go up like the night before on Best Buy.
Probably.
Because that's what they've been doing lately.
Probably.
Crap. I forgot what I wanted to say earlier. All right, I promise. Last thing. It's kind of Amiibo adjacent. So I saw this meme the other day that had it was a screenshot of like Sora fighting Steve. And he said, if you just showed me this a year ago, I thought this would have been a very poorly photoshopped picture. And I'm like, same.
That's true.
Yeah.
Same.
I love Smash Ultimate. I love Smash Ultimate so much. Okay, I hope that I'll love Splatoon 3 a lot, but I don't know yet. And this is kind of a discussion we had on our Lost episode a couple weeks ago. We're revisiting it now because I am dubbing, starting today, we are under Splatoon 3 Nintendo Direct watch, right? When this episode's out, the Pokemon Presents has already happened. There's no Nintendo product really coming out in August. Now that the DLC is out, we're here. Splatoon 3 Direct watch. Because, guys, we still don't know much about this game, and it keeps me up at night. Not literally, but that's how much I'm thinking about Splatoon 3 lately. And other people are starting to catch on, right? O'Dell posted this article in our news channel on Discord from Nintendo Live saying, people are starting to freak out about Splatoon 3. Like, I know. I've been here for months. I scrolled back through the Splatoon 3 North American Twitter account, which has very few followers compared to, like, Nintendo of America. And all they're announcing are returning weapons, new maps, which is cool they're announcing them there. I think that a new map announcement deserves a little more fanfare than it is getting, just being announced on the Splatoon Twitter account, and sometimes not even being retweeted by Nintendo America. What's going on there, guys? And then they're talking about new bands. They're going to play the music, which is like, only if you're into the deep lore of Splatoon do you know which bands play which songs on the Splatoon soundtrack. And new brands of clothing, and a couple screenshots from Return of the Mammalians, the single-player mode. Why is the rollout for the game like this? I don't get it. It is the strangest thing I've ever seen. We got a Pokemon Presents this week. Those games aren't out for 3 months. And Splatoon is out in 4 weeks. And here we are. Still waiting.
Going through this Twitter account just now and your whole spiel just now, I feel like the additions to this game that they are going to have are only going to matter to the most diehard of diehard Splatoon fans.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just the way that they're even showing off content on this Twitter account, it makes me like there's Squid Kids in magazines and they're like posing like they're, like they're real. It's a real fashion line, like they're real people. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, I get that they're trying to build a world here. At least that's what it seems like they're trying to do. I just don't think they're going to have much that is going to change the core gameplay beyond that type of content.
Yeah, it's concerning to me because I look at something like Splatoon 2 and it's like, that sold over 10 million copies. That's a huge success. Yes, on Switch, it's still dwarfed by some of the huge sellers, but 10 million, that is a ton. Any game would be thrilled to sell 10 million copies. Right?
Yeah.
But anecdotally, I have a circle of people that I played Splatoon 2 with that are they're not as plugged into the industry as we are, right? They aren't thinking about this at night laying in bed like I am. God, what's the multiplayer lobby system going to be like this? I can't sleep. I'm sorry. That's how I feel. So let's say I know 8 people that I regularly played Splatoon 2 with. I've talked to all of them. They are all, except one other besides me, like, I see no reason to get this game.
Yep.
I'm not spending $60 on this game. Last of Us comes out the week before. I'm going to spend my $70 on that. It's like, okay, well, there's also reasons not to buy that game. But anyways, you disagree? You're buying that one on launch, Last of Us?
I don't know when the last time I talked about this on Platformers last night. I don't know the last time that you played Last of Us Remastered, especially like
a year
on
ago.
the PS5. That game needs a remake.
Oh yeah, I'm excited to play it.
Yeah, that game's jank as hell. I don't want to
slander Last of Us Part 1. I love The Last of Us. I'm excited to play that remake. I'm just not buying it at launch. Anyways, back to Nintendo Land. Only 2 of 8 people that I know are buying Splatoon 3. So you look at 10 million sales. Yeah, there's going to be people that didn't buy Splatoon 2 that do buy Splatoon 3. But right now, I don't see this coming close to that number. I think that was a launch game for Switch. It's been out for years. And now you have this weirdly placed sequel, this weirdly marketed sequel. It's clearly had some issues. It's, I do believe, been internally delayed at least 2 times. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen in terms of a game rollout from Nintendo. We're a month out, and we know barely more than we knew a year and a half ago when this was announced. Can anyone think of another situation like that where the game turned out great? Because I can't.
Star Fox 2. No.
Okay. Nice. Nicely done.
All right, so I have a theory. I was thinking I didn't want to retread things from our last Lost episode. So I thought about this after the show, so I'm glad we brought this back up. So I think what was happening here, and follow me, that Splatoon, is phenomenal. It's done well, but Splatoon's property value to Nintendo is more valuable as an IP than a game. And what I mean by that is, so I read manga. I love manga, and the Splatoon manga is very popular. I don't know if y'all knew this. Mm-hmm. It currently ended. The last volume, I think, released early this year, early 2022, and then it was over. And I remember the manga community, people were livid. Like, it ended at volume 16, and they were like, "Oh my god!" So much so that it is primed to come back this year. I assume it is going to. It's either the reason the game got delayed, or it's just going to go along with the game's release, but it's coming back, and people in the manga community were like super excited. I've never read the Splatoon manga. Like, I didn't care that much about the lore. But then it got me thinking, maybe, Splatoon, not the game, things do much better than the game. And now the game has cease to be the centerpiece, but the accessory to
So
other
like
Splatoon
Pokemon,
things.
right? Pokemon cards, Pokemon toys, Pokemon TV show.
Yeah, but unlike Splatoon, Pokemon, the core game still is the hot ticket. That's the thing which everything spreads out. I see that look you're giving, but the new Pokemon are showcased there. They're not they're not showcased everywhere else. And then it's like, oh, we know they're not. Like it stems from the game. Like the characters.
Let me speak to what you're saying here.
Yeah.
If you're saying that Splatoon as an IP is more valuable than Splatoon as a game, then why are we getting the next mainline Splatoon right now instead of like a Splatoon spinoff, a Splatoon 2D platformer, which I've been saying they should do for years, and it still hasn't happened. The only type of game we've seen from Splatoon is Splatoon, what you know Splatoon to be. I think that they could have taken this slot, this development, to say, hey, let's take this fresh IP we made. We already have Splatoon 2 on Switch, and let's make something entirely new with this. I thought, like, how cool would like an action Splatoon 2.5D platformer be, where you're swimming up the walls, you're shooting enemies, you can like swap between 4 weapons for different puzzles, different situations. I think it'd be great. I think it would be so cool.
Do you know why they haven't done that?
Why?
Because there's not like one main specific character other than Inkling Boy and Inkling Girl, right? That like is super identifiable. Like there's not a named character in Splatoon other than the main hosts or like the old.
So people love them. Make it about them.
Yeah, I mean, that's just it. Like it, unless it's about them. Like who do you pick other than play as Inkling Boy? Like,
but all sorts of games have customizable characters. It doesn't matter.
Maybe it's a lot simpler than that. Maybe whoever's on the development, maybe people in Snow just simply don't care. There's not enough internal creative juices. Someone banging the drum for Splatoon. Maybe it's just as simple as that. Like they have some contractual obligation to make the game. Maybe
Splatoon is banging the creative drum, right? It was the most new, fresh thing from Nintendo we saw in the Wii U era. It was the most exciting, new, young thing they were doing. And now it's entering this routine already, where it's just they churn out the new Splatoon. And I didn't want that for this series.
Well, I mean, if sales are soft on this, it won't be that way. Like they have to do something else, right? Like they're not in a position now where the same position that they were in when Splatoon 2 came out, where like there wasn't that much to play on the Switch, like, and other platforms. Like there's so much more on all these libraries at this point. You basically played Splatoon, at least I think a lot of people played Splatoon 2 because it was like the only hot big Nintendo thing to play at the time, like that summer. That's not the case right now. Xenoblade, Live Alive. And I understand they're very different games, but like, why would I invest my time in this thing that I already did 5 years ago? I'll just go play that one.
Yeah.
Unless they fix matchmaking.
The final... O'Dell, go ahead.
Oh, no, I'll just say maybe I'm thinking because, okay, if you think of every mainline Nintendo game, there's somebody attached to it that like is the person that I guess is the driving force. Smash, you have Sakurai. Zelda, you have Aonuma. Pokemon, you have Nomura from the Pokemon Company. Mario, you have Miyamoto or whoever's the.
And you have Hisashi Nagami for Splatoon. He's the guy who always appears in the lab coat and the sunglasses. He's produced the first two. He's producing this one as well. So you do have that first.
But how much? I don't mean this. I'm not trying to stifle, man. But how much does he care? I'm like, is Splatoon 3? Has he hung up the lab coat? Is he just like, yeah, I'll make another game. Really don't want to, but I got to for Nintendo. I'm speculating here, like for example, Sakurai really pushed for things and Smash. You know what I'm saying? Like we see in all his lives, he talks about, man, I really wanted this to happen. I really had to work hard. I really had to stick. Things that we would think would be an immediate yes, he was losing sleep over. Like he was the driving force, and I'm just like, maybe that level of commitment,
care, and attention to detail, and
I don't know, I'm going to push back on that a little bit. I don't want to speak to a creator or a creative team, especially when the game's not even out yet. I think that's
that is fair.
Off the path. My take right now, with a month to go, is there's still things for them to tell us. Why are they waiting this long? Maybe it's just because of the marketing cycle. July was packed. June was packed. We've had a ton of Nintendo games and products coming out in the this summer, the last few months. So maybe this month could be the month for Splatoon to shine. Nintendo, I'm telling you, now is the time. Splatoon 3, direct watch. It's got to happen. Tell me about multiplayer. Tell me about how Chris and I are going to be able to play and not be pulling our hair out, waiting to get into a lobby. Tell me what's so cool about this single-player mode. Your single-player modes have been getting better each time. Octo expansion is better than 2, is better than 1. Hopefully 3 builds on that, and it's the best one yet. Just tell us these things, because I'm worried. I still think this game's going to be great. I just haven't seen it yet. Chris, you looked like you had one more thing you were going to say.
Splatoon 3 comes out when?
September 9th.
Next week, we will get a direct.
Next week. I agree. That's why I'm declaring now is direct watch time.
Yeah. No, I could see this being the new cycle where it's like 1 month before whatever game is about to drop, you get like the knowledge bomb. Because then what happens? Splatoon drops end of September, you get the online direct. They release GBA games on Nintendo Switch Online, finally.
Hopefully.
You know.
And then
the
October's
rest.
full too.
Yeah.
I hope so.
You know, I need this game to slap because the Boardroom has yet to have a Nintendo multiplayer game that we can play together and be like camaraderie, bonding. Because Striker sure as hell wasn't it.
I mean, we could play Mario Kart. Like, there's new tracks this week.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we need to do that. Yeah, but
I get what you're saying. It's not like the new thing where we're all just like, oh my god, like that hasn't happened yet. Yeah,
it could happen with Pokemon, but I know y'all won't do that commitment with me with that new 4-player running around. We got some Poke haters here.
I think when you see how well that runs, you won't commit either. Just gonna predict.
Oh, okay, but this guy has hope for Splatoon. All right. I hope Splatoon 3 fails horribly. This is the thing that drives us apart, people.
All right, we are running a little long. Chris was going to tell us about the Analog Pocket, but I think we'll have to wait to hear about that next week. Sorry, Chris. Oh, he's giving me a very sad / creepy look. But that is it for this week in the Toadstool Boardroom. Another episode in the books. We are a weekly Nintendo podcast. We release on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, other streaming services that you may use every Thursday at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. So please check us out. Subscribe on YouTube, all that good stuff. Thank you, O'Dell. Thank you, Chris. Thank you so much for listening. And we'll be back right here in the Boardroom next week for another fun episode.